Welcome back to Financial Therapy. It's not just about the money. I'm personal financial planner, columnist, and financial therapist Rick Kahler. Research tells us that 90% of all financial decisions are made emotionally, not logically. For nearly 4 decades, I've been helping people make better money decisions. So what makes my financial worldview different from most financial experts? I blend the nuts and bolts of financial advice with the emotions that drive making them. Good money decisions are not just about the money. So let's get started with today's episode. Welcome back to another edition, and I'm just really pleased to have Saundra Davis with me. Saundra and I go back a ways.
Way back.
I think you and I were at the beginning of the Financial Therapy Association, and
We were, but we go back before that. We first met in 2005 at Retreat in San Diego. And then I followed you back to South Dakota, whining all the way about you putting me on that little itty bitty plane to come to the training that you and Ted did. Yeah. So I see you want to leave that part out, but yeah, you had me on that itty bitty plane coming to South Dakota, and I was a nervous wreck, but it was literally what started my trajectory in this field.
you have a coaching firm. You're a CFP.
No, I'm not a CFP. I have a master's in financial planning.
Okay.
And so what happened shortly after coming to the workshop, actually, that I did with you all, I learned very quickly that my path was behavior, not technical. And so I already had my master's in financial planning, and I was actually on the CFP track. And I realized I have zero interest in investments and tax and estates. And doing a financial plan wasn't the exciting part to me. What I learned actually in hanging out with you all was that the plan is only as good as the execution. And so I literally, from that moment on, pivoted to how do we help people execute? How do we help people live with their plan in a way that honors their values? So that truly was a turning point for me. And then, of course, by the time we all got together, I think in 2007 to create the Financial Therapy Association, all of us were having that conversation differently. I think my recollection was there are very few of you all, when I came into the field in 2004, very few of you were having the behavior conversation, the wellness conversation. And of course, you might remember I was working in low and moderate income communities. So people who were working poor, people who were low income, people who didn't have $1 million in investable assets weren't even talking to financial planners.
Yeah, the wellness discussion kind of started in the financial planning profession in around 1995. And that was when Nazarudin came into being and slowly progressed, turned into the financial life planning or the life planning track, which is still developing today. And, you are just, 2 years ago, did you accept the deanship?
It's the program director. Yeah, it's program director of financial planning at Golden Gate. Yeah.
Yes. And so was Golden Gate the first university that had an actual certificate for financial?
The master's. We were one of the first 20 to be certified to be credentialed through the CFP board. And we were, I believe, the first to have a master's degree program. Yeah. So it's exciting because I'm actually the director of the program that I graduated from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So 20 years, fast forward 20 years, I'm running the program, and it really, stands on the shoulders of what Dave Yeske did. Dave Yeske was my mentor at FPA residency back in 2005. And so it just kind of feels like this full circle, working closely with you now in FTA, working with Dave at Golden Gate. It just feels like everything that we've been working so hard to do back then. And I think one of the things that stands out so much for me is that we not only did this for the well-being of the clients, but the well-being of the planners, the well-being of the professionals, which I think is just such a big deal. Yeah, how it rolls out, to the folks we serve is crucial. But the fact is, we can't be good for them if we're not good for us.
That's a great perspective, because oftentimes the focus is so much on the clients.
Yeah.
And the planner and and those supporting the planner, the whole team can somewhat be left behind in the equation.
Yeah. I think that happens a lot in helper roles, right? When we believe that our work is to make life better for others, I think we forget that, we say it all the time. Well, we can't take a client where we haven't gone ourselves. Well, how do we think that's any different? In my world, I would teach people, and Luis Barajas says this all the time. I was the first person to say to him, he was my first role model in doing this in low-income communities. I said to him, don't model poverty. And because when we're working with low and moderate income folks, our tendency can be to, we don't want to charge them. We know that they're already struggling with money. And granted, I'm all for a sliding scale, but I also was saying to him, don't model poverty, don't model pain, don't model distress. We are in the personal financial professionals are in one of the most unique positions, I believe, ever. And granted, y'all know I'm new to this field. I relatively new. I joined this field at 44. So now, okay, that was 20 years ago, but still, you get where I'm going. I didn't start out, right?
Now,
right. I'm not new anymore, right? But I was new. When I made the transition, I was already 44 years old. But this is the only profession that I am aware of that you can not only change the trajectory of the future, you can heal the pain of the past. Right? And so we can take what we know and what we do and help people build a new path forward for their family and even reach back to parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, and change the legacy, identify the legacy burdens, right, that get passed down, but also pull on and build on the heirlooms. Financial planning for me, when I became a financial planner, changed how I live with money, knowing that what was happening up here was equally, if not more so important than what was happening in my spreadsheets, changed how I navigate money for my son, my grandchildren, and it changed my mom, and it changed my brothers. And so I don't know of any other profession that does both. Right? You can go to a medical provider and they can help you. And granted, you might change how you eat, but chances are it's not doing nothing for, the back end, right? And not to diminish any other profession. It's just that what we know and believe and how we roll with that can change everyone we touch, if they want to be.
That's a pretty powerful statement. I love that not only can we change the trajectory, the future of ourselves and our clients, we can heal the pain from the past of ourselves and our clients. And I think it was Gail Coleman that said that I first heard from saying we can only take clients as far as we've taken ourselves. And I mean, that is huge. And I think can be quite shocking to some planners. I have run into since when I got into this, I first went to a Kinder workshop in 1999, 2000. And I went to his week-long training with the thought, I had better learn what's going on here because I'm going to become irrelevant.
Oh, okay.
If we don't learn more about the brain, how the brain works, and really learn about the relationship investments had already started to become a commodity. I figured financial planning will become a commodity. So I better learn how to relate to people. I did not get into this to work on myself.
Surprise. And it doesn't stop, right?
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And I see, I'm very much a guy who was giving me the formula.
Mm-hmm. You know,
When I was
I remember having this conversation with
you. In real estate, it's okay. When you hit this objection, you go here. If they say yes, you go do this. If it's no here, then you ask this question. It's like this huge decision tree, and trying to memorize the scripts and everything to get the formula.
Right.
And it has kind of shocked all of the parts of myself to find out, there's no formula.
No. I mean, there are techniques and there are tools and there are things that we can embody. But unless we embody them, they're just techniques, And, to your point, I went to the kinder thing. I went to the 2 days. And to be honest, I had a very different experience because I came from, the more touchy-feely. Y'all, I'm from California. I'm from San Francisco, born in the 60s. So hippie is all over me, right? So I was already kind of in that human part. What I went to the kinder thing hoping was that I would get the connection between the money and that. And that's just not what it was. It was more to help you all figure out how to talk to people like humans, right? And so I already knew how to do that. So it wasn't as impactful for me as coming to what you and Ted did in South Dakota, where that was, okay, this is an inside job. And this is how we take it from inside to outside. And because it was so experiential and because it really just kind of literally blew my hair back, I then just pivoted to, okay, so everything that I think I know about money means nothing unless I can connect with people where they are and what inspires them and how do they then want to navigate the technical aspects to be in alignment with their soul and their purpose. And so I was really fortunate because I didn't have to unlearn a lot. I had to unlearn some because when I got that master's, I was like, and of course I did this primarily because, I wanted money to be run differently in the Black community. I was just watching people selling their grandmother's houses and not understanding that, they were putting their financial lives in jeopardy by not knowing more about money. That's what I started out to do. I thought, I've got this master's now. I'm going to go and tell people what to do and they're going to do it. And we all going to rise up. Right? I was having my mountaintop moment and nobody was listening, even my own family. And sometimes, Rick, even me. I mean, I was still doing things with money that were inconsistent with what my heart wanted and what I really wanted to do. And so it truly is. And I don't know that Gail was the first person I heard it. I think it might have been for me, Elizabeth Chaton, that I really didn't understand that until I do this for me, granted, I might be talking a good game. I can say all the right stuff, but it's not going to have the impact. And now, 20 years later, I've trained more than 2,500 people on coaching skills. I've embodied that myself. I've become a master certified coach through the International Coaching Federation. And this is how I live now, and even still, with all that I've learned, I still have to watch, is my behavior in alignment? So it's not like I've got it fixed. And so now I'm just like spreading the gospel. It is still, I have to be in touch. And this is where IFS has been such a big deal because every choice that I make, I get to check in with my parts. Literally every choice. I was getting ready to buy a headset, another headphones, because I am a tech fiend. It's ridiculous. And so I had to stop myself and talk to the part that feels like she needs to have every new tech that comes out. right? I might have tech that's working and it's working just fine, but I see something new and my antenna just, oh, I need that, you know? And I don't do the needs versus wants. I don't abuse myself, but now I check it. Okay, what are you trying to satisfy here? What's happening? What is this? And what are you saying no to? If you say yes to that, what are you giving up?
That sounds like IFS has been impactful for you.
Oh, hugely, hugely. And you introduced me to IFS. And I was like, yeah, okay, Rick, no. I'm not.
I got your parts.
Yeah. I was like, look, I already have enough trouble with managing what I think. But, to recognize that thoughts and emotions and these strong feelings come from somewhere. And the thing that turned it around for me, honestly, was I think you reminded me that I asked you to teach something and you're like, nope. So I know that my experience of you is that you will push yourself. I think one of the places that you and I connect is that I am always questioning what I think I know. And my observation of you is that when you know something and new information comes, you're like, okay, let me check. That's how I experience you. I don't know if that's how you see yourself or how other people see, but that's how I experience you. And so when you said no, I decided to get one of the books. So I got No Bad Parts and I started listening. It's like, okay, this is making a little bit more sense. I didn't even finish the book before I enrolled in the level 1 training. And so that was last year. And now I've completed level 2. I've been a program assistant for level 1. I'm trying to sign up for a level 3. I don't know that I'll go through certification, but the learning of it, every single time I'm in a course, the learning of it just deepens my understanding of my own system. And often this is, all of this kind of works together, right? That in my work in anti-poverty, right? In that role, people will often say to me, well, Saundra, you're not going to financially coach somebody out of an oppressive financial system. And they're right. I'm not. What I can't do is stand by hoping that the external system changes sufficiently for these people to be able to thrive. So what I had to do was, okay, you are a system within a system within a system, right? There's you, there's your family, there's your community, and then there's the larger ecosystem that we all, here in the U.S. anyway, this system that can be oppressive for many people. I can teach and support people in navigating their system so that they can navigate that external system. So that's my job. I am not a policy and advocacy person. I'm not marching. I'm not doing any of those things. I don't have enough bail money for that. But what I can do is help professionals breathe, create some spaciousness for themselves, understand their parts, and then facilitate their clients understanding their parts. So I don't do a lot of direct service. I don't meet with clients at all, but the training piece allows me to be with financial professionals in a way that let their soul shine, right? Let them come through first, so that they can step into their own power in a way that's healthy, that they're not burning out, that they're not, doing more for other people than they're doing for themselves. In all fairness, one of the reasons I wanted us to have this conversation is you were a big part of that for me. Learning from you, being on this journey with you. I was telling somebody yesterday about the financial wisdom of Ebenezer Scrooge and how impactful it was. Right? To think about these topics differently. Now, we hear about financial trauma, all this stuff all the time, but 20 years ago, those weren't even words together, but we were doing that work.
Saundra, we've talked about financial life planning Does coaching, being trained as a coach, have a place in the life of someone who says, I want to be a life planner?
Yeah.
Or is it something completely separate?
Yeah. So I think coaching has a place in all the things. The first thing is many people do not know that coaching, as we know it today, as a profession, started with a financial planner. Thomas Leonard started the first school of coaching called Coachville in the 90s. Thomas Leonard is the founder, right, with some other folks, of course, not discounting anybody else, but Thomas Leonard founded the International Coaching Federation. Right. And the reason that that's so important is back then, and, like you said, this was going on. So he was in a group of other folks, but he's the one who went the coaching route. And his thing was clients were savvy, smart, fully capable of executing the plan, but were not. And that's how coaching came to be from our profession. And so I would say, yes, coaching has a place for financial planners, financial therapists, counselors, educators, life planners. And the reason is coaching has models, but it is not a model. It is an approach. Right? And so there are models, there's grow, and there's all of these other ways to do the steps. And even in my program, we have, the coaching engagement. But the point of coaching is people are self-determined. Clients are capable. They are resourceful. They are not broken. And finding out what inspires, not motivates them, not being their cheerleader, not trying to motivate them, not trying to figure them out, tapping into, and this is why IFS, literally coaching and IFS are the same thing. The client becomes so clear about their ability to self-direct. They can now hear the professional without becoming defensive. So if you were to say to me, Saundra, one of the things that's going to be really important for your 80-year-old self is to think about how much money you're spending on blah, 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 right? Now, if you say that to me differently with directive, Saundra, okay, this is where you are, do this, do this, do this, do this, I'm automatically going to have some feelings. Right? Those parts of me, and you don't know those parts. You don't know if I've been abused. You don't know if I have experienced poverty. You don't know if someone has controlled me with money. And so now here you are telling me what to do with my money. You don't know what's going to show up. And even if I still show you the lovely face, thank you, Rick, I appreciate the plan. And all the while, I'm like, yeah, no, dude, I'm not doing this. And so coaching allows that space. Allows the professional to feel so confident in what they're offering. And that's usually the biggest challenge for professionals. They're leaning and trusting so much on their technical aspect that they don't often recognize that their greatest power in the engagement is the relationship with the client. And coaching does that. Coaching teaches that.
I think that is a mouthful. Which in that, and one of the reasons it pairs so well with IFS is dropping our agenda and going back to what we opened up with, learning to be, just learning to be. And it's like, wait a minute, I've spent all these years learning all these solutions and everything, and now you just want me to show up and be.
Yeah. I opened my coaching class with the hardest part for financial professionals is to not be the expert that you spend a bunch of time and money becoming.
Why?
But here's the lovely part though, Rick. Here's the lovely part. The expertise doesn't go away. And the expertise is more welcome and even invited by the client when we meet them where they are.
The expertise can be dropped in. I'm thinking of like in the IFS example, when I'm working with a client and I'm working with a part that's clearly confused and has bad information. And it's learning not to give that right up front. Oh, that's not how it is. And actually respectfully at some point in time, which is art, not science, of asking that part, would you like some more information? And the part will often go, okay. And I remember one case I gave some more information and the client says, that part was like 10 feet tall. It's deflated to about 3 inches. And now it's feeling shame that it thought that. Well, now we have to work with the shame.
Right. And so, but the thing is that the lovely part about that is that actually increases the trust between the professional and the client.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's space for the shame. There's space for what I thought I knew. There's space for all of that. And I think, for professionals, it also gives you all, and I say you all because I don't do the work that you all do. I don't do financial plans. It gives you all so much more space also to not have to get it perfect. Right? Because you all know that plan becomes obsolete the moment we press enter and the computer spits out the plan. Because behavior is different. The economic situation is different. Everything is different. And so you all get to be in the dance with your clients so that your expertise gets to shine in a way that isn't reliant on perfection. It's reliant upon your knowledge and the ability to flow and change. And then if clients can see you relax with change, they can relax with change.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. We just got a couple of minutes left, Saundra. Could you say a little bit about your coaching program and maybe the program at GGU?
Absolutely. So at Golden Gate, the program director role is a joy because I get to see folks either coming to get their certificate in financial planning or their master's or the advanced programs, right? So we've got advanced life planning, we've got estates and tax. And that program, what's so exciting about that is we've got professors like you. Every single professor in that program is a practitioner. So, you don't just learn the theory. You learn everything you need to know about the technical aspects, but you also learn the stuff we're talking about now. And then in my coaching program, it's called the APFC, Accredited Personal Finance Coach, and people can take a portion of it or all of it to actually become credentialed as a personal finance coach. It is complementary to financial content. So we don't teach the financial content. What we teach is how do you do all of the things that we've just been talking about. We run 2 programs a year, one online and one intensive in person. And that's usually at the end of every year. But we do it in April and in late October, early November each year.
So your next online program is in April?
April of 2025. Yeah.
Wow. And is that like a year program or?
It's 15 weeks total, but the way that we do it, we have the intensive format where there's a couple of days where you're like actually it's kind of a full day. I call 6 hours a full day. Who needs to work more than 6 hours in a day? So 6 hours, so 2 to 3 6-hour days, and then the rest is a weekly session where you practice more and get more content.
Well, Saundra, it has been a delight. I have 15 other questions I wanted to ask you, but we don't have time for those, but maybe we will need to pick this conversation up again.
I would love to. Anytime with you is a good time.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining me, Rick Kahler, for another episode of Financial Therapy. It's not just about the money. This is where I combine the nuts and bolts of financial advice with the emotions that drive making them. Remember, every financial behavior, whether it appears illogical to you or others, makes perfect sense when we understand the underlying beliefs, feelings, and thoughts. Sign up for my weekly blog at financialawakenings.com. I hope you'll join me again for our next episode.